Let me know when you guys can see.
Yeah, I can see your screen.
I have a couple of questions around. Well, I haven't gotten to the. This is the project, the Docker project with the static website. If you take a look, I do have the image. I've pushed it to the Docker hub. Well, I tried it earlier and I was able to create the container and I was able to see the website.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so the question is, what's like the major difference between this one and the dynamic site? I know for sure that one is going to have a database, but in terms of like going through with all the setup, the configuration, is it pretty much the same? Is it similar?
You mean writing your Docker file?
The Docker file and then the entire process to be able to
Yeah, it's the same. It's the
okay.
same. Yeah, so there's no difference in how you set it up. Everything, how your application connects to your database is that is defined in your Docker file. So once you have your image built and push it to ECR, it's the same process you use to build your container. The only difference in that one is we are also using environment file. We are using a file for our environment variable.
Okay,
So
like the one we used in the dynamic website when we were doing the manual deployment of that website where we had to use the VI into the .env file. Is it the same?
that is how your application connects to your database. So that has to be in your Docker file as well.
Okay.
So there's an environment file that our container is also using in that application.
Okay.
Yeah, but the process of launching your container and setting it up is the same. There's no difference.
Okay.
Is there a reason why you're asking?
No, I was just, in anticipation because I'm working on this. I might get it done probably by this weekend.
I say you're just trying to get an idea. Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah.
So the main thing is, right, is there is no difference from even this container application and your EC2 application, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything is mostly done in the building of your Docker file. So in your Docker file, you can see all the things you installed on the EC2 instance that you use to deploy your application on that EC2 instance. That is the same exact thing we are doing on the Docker file. So does that make sense?
Yeah, it does,
So
because I noticed the only difference was the way it's run in the Docker file.
exactly.
Different with the EC2. Yeah.
Yeah. So Docker, you have to put it in this Docker instructions. So there's more than the run. So it has command, it has working directory. So based on what you are trying to do in the Docker documentation, you will see the different instructions you can use to do it. If you are just trying to run a command, the Docker instruction is run. So it's the same thing we did on the EC2 instance. Now we are trying to install the same application on Docker. So once you write your Docker file that has all the list of the things you want to do, and you push it to ECR, at that point, the process of launching your container, it doesn't matter whether it's the static or the dynamic one, it's going to be the same exact same step.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other question is the reason why we're pushing it to the ECR, the repository in AWS is because we need to build the container. We need to have the container run in AWS, correct?
You can push it to any container registry that you want. It doesn't have to be just AWS.
Oh,
I'm just using AWS because obviously, since we are using AWS has their own container registry, so that's why we are using that one. But you can push it to Docker Hub and pull it from there as well. There's nothing. Yeah.
okay.
So any container registry, you can push your image to it and pull it from there.
You write that down because those were kind of like the things you you wanted to, container. And also, I wanted to give you guys, since we're all like a family, and I wanted to give you guys like an update about the interview that I had on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So the job description, I think I shared that with you at some point. It was mainly talking about Terraform and all that stuff. So I kind of like prepared around mostly Terraform. I was able to showcase the project that I did, and they loved it. But it's just that I think with most of these companies, they would some help, some don't. They will put out all the tools that they're using. In this case, they did not. And I noticed they asked a lot of questions around like the full stack of the DevOps environment, talked about CI/CD. We talked about Docker because I remember one of the questions was like, what does a typical Docker file look like? That type of thing. When you have to talk about the base image, the dependencies, and it contains the web files and also the port that you expose the container onto. And they also went around and talked about CI/CD. They talked about obviously Jenkins. So the point I'm trying to make is just so we're all aware here that when you get into an interview, most of the time they will ask all of these things because not all companies will put out what they're doing. They'll just put a few things. So that also came back to me and told me that, hey, you know what? You need to make sure you go through all the projects that we have here on this platform. And that way you stand a way better chance because like I said initially, I was just thinking they were just going to talk about Jenkins and the most Terraform, the most of probably Docker and all that stuff. But we ended up talking about everything. I don't think they will hire me, but I feel good within myself because it was like a challenge for me. And also like, it's like breaking something just so you know exactly what's out there, how things are like. I felt really good after that interview.
Mm-hmm.
And I know how to, prepare myself now and get myself ready.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, that's good. Sometimes interviews are, it's not every interview we do that you get an offer from. Sometimes, especially when you are starting out, some interviews are just going to be meant to build your confidence and you see what typically a typical interview is
Hello?
like.
Yeah, we can hear you.
So I mean, I wouldn't worry about it, but my thing is, yes, for the interviews, you guys, it's pretty much what I've said. So my knowledge, my core knowledge, and my foundational knowledge centers around AWS, Terraform, Docker, Kubernetes, CI/CD, maybe CloudFormation, and Ansible. I feel like those are core knowledge about AWS and DevOps that you guys should know. Those are the skills that I have too. And since I've been working, they've never failed me. No matter what company you're working for, they will be using one of those skills. I mean, I still always, sometimes I'm always surprised that, I mean, some people do use Jenkins, but for me, I've never used Jenkins. Like I said, I've only used Jenkins in one environment where we only use it. It was there, it's just a server. Since you don't have access to terminate an EC2 instance in the management console, you can use the Jenkins server. That was how they set it up to terminate any instance or whatever you are trying to do in the console. So I wouldn't, this is actually a question that I've had asked them before. Sometimes when they tell you that they are using Jenkins and all that stuff, you should ask them questions along the lines of, why is it that they are using Jenkins when there are other modern CI/CD tools that are more efficient than Jenkins? You see that you have them I've actually asked them, my interviewer, that question before, and they really couldn't give me an answer. But then they end up saying, oh yeah, that's part of the reasons why we are hiring engineers. So if you see any process we have that can be improved, then that is something we are willing to look into. I mean, I'm not sure what a company's use case might be for using Jenkins, but really, looking at other CI/CD tools that are out there, it doesn't really make sense to me to use Jenkins.
So which one is the most recent one now that's being used now besides Jenkins?
Everything besides Jenkins. So
Aziz,
every platform has their own CI/CD too. So there's GitHub Actions,
yeah.
AWS has code build, code deploy.
Mhm.
Um, Azure has Azure DevOps. Um, I think GitLab has their own too. So there's other platforms that has a modern day modernized CI/CD tools that you only just have to focus on writing your configuration and running your application. You really don't have to focus on deploying the server, managing the server, giving people access to the server and all that stuff. So um, yeah. So if anytime you guys have a interview question and Jenkins is brought up as one of the tools they use, you should ask them why they are using it when they can be using other tools and see what they say.
Yeah.
So sometimes you
Yeah.
guys can throw the you can spin the question around and relate it back to them and see how they answer, whether they would have a good answer. When I asked them the question, the interviewer was stuck. They really didn't know how to answer it, other than, oh yeah, it's probably something we'll look to improve later on.
Okay.
All right. So Aziz, let me add something real quick. I was in similar situation some months ago. So one of the reasons I understand, I could be wrong, they use Jenkins is because some of them have this very complex CI/CD setup in their environment, like big companies.
Mhm.
So some of them would rather go with Jenkins or maintain Jenkins because it's like the old school kind of CI/CD way of doing things. And I believe GitHub Actions is relatively newer than Jenkins. So some of them are stuck in that old way of doing things. So that's one of the reasons.
Yeah,
And that was even what prompted me to learn Jenkins at the time too, but I never used it anyway. So
yeah. So
yeah.
I agree with you that but I don't think there is any I don't think there's I mean, and I may be wrong too, but because I haven't really done complex application, but I'm pretty sure whatever application is complex, the modern day CI/CD tool can also solve that. When in the I've worked in like the federal space, and when you work in there, you see that a lot of people you work with are much older people. If you guys have an opportunity to get a government contract where you're working in the federal space, you'll see that a lot of people in there are much older. And
You're right about that. You're right.
they've been there for about 20 years. A lot of people that I was working with were like there for 20 years, 15 years, 30 years. And one thing I noticed is they are reluctant to change because they've been doing something for so long. You see, like the systems we're using, when it can be, it's almost like they are 10 years behind. Like a lot of the stuff we can do where we have modern days things to do it, we don't have those tools because those people that you'll be working with that have been in that position for that many years, they don't want to learn new things to have to like develop their skills and learn new modern day technology. So that's why most times you will see that they are still stuck with their old way of doing things. Um, Part of it is just because they don't want to learn something new, and all this new stuff it sounds foreign to them. And at least that was what I saw when I was working in the government space. And I've worked in like at least three government space where I saw that where a lot of the stuff we were using was outdated, but the people I was working with they are much older. I'm talking about anywhere from their 40s to 60s, and they don't want to touch any of these new things. And you guys know in the cloud space, what you know yesterday might be outdated today, and you have to continue learning new things because the technology is rapidly changing. So you have to really keep up with the technology, and I don't think a lot of people in the government space does that. But if you go in the private sector, you see that in the private space that I've worked at on the other end, I haven't seen anyone use Jenkins at all. Everyone
Okay.
has some type of modern day CI/CD tool they are using. Like I said, when I was working at Capital One, they use Jenkins, but only we go in it, we want to terminate a server, they've set up all those jobs for like different things, running scripts, whatever the case may be, you just go in there and use it for it. So that was what we were using it for. So it wasn't like our CI/CD tool we were using to deploy our application and roll it out to production so the end users can access it. No.
Okay. There's also something else I wanted to show you guys as well. While I was preparing, when I was preparing for this interview, I was able to find something on YouTube, basically like troubleshooting scenarios. And there's loads of them, but I was able to just pick up like the most important ones that would normally come up. Like for this one, if an EC2 instance is not able to, you're not able to SSH into that. So I watched those videos and I was able to create a document like this, pretty much screenshots and stuff. And then I took like the top 5 ones that we all will encounter. An application load balancer not working. I was able to put that in a document, screenshots, and then for an S3 bucket showing an error as well. You see that, and then auto scaling. I was able to put that in as well. And then the final one was like for an RDS, not able to connect to an RDS, so pretty much like a database, whether it's SQL Server or anything. So I was able to put down these 5 like most come across troubleshooting scenarios by myself, and I was able to find something also on disaster recovery just to get like the basics. So I mean, if anything was to come up in any one of these areas, I'll be able to say something about it. So if anyone kind of like need something like this, I can always push it out, just so you have that in your arsenal when you prepare for stuff.
Yeah, thank you. You can share it in the Slack channel. If anyone, or if you guys anyone is interested, just reach out to Daniel. Thank you, Daniel. But I have a question though. I'm not saying I'm right, and I'm not saying you guys are wrong, but I have a question where I want to get an idea. But before I ask Jared, you can go with your question, then I'll ask my question. Jared, I see your hand is raised, so you.
Okay. Sorry. I thought you allow this. He finished, then I can just because mine is an issue which is totally different to what you're doing now. So maybe if you just finish with him, so that I wanted to I was asking a question on something I was working on yesterday, which is GitHub Actions. So I wanted to share my screen, but since he's already presenting his screen, I just thought maybe if he finishes. Thank you, sir.
All right, no problem. I thought it was all right. All right, we can look at yours later. All right, so my question is, when you guys are preparing for interview, right? Are you guys anticipating the type of questions they're going to ask you? I mean, I like what you did, Daniel, because it shows that you are preparing for it. But for me, I always feel like it always kind of like throws me off because I don't want to prepare for focus my attention on preparing on something that then they want to ask me about, right? So my question is, are you guys preparing for the interview based on questions you anticipate that you'll be asked, or are you just relying on the skills you've listed on your resume and just understanding that, okay, when they ask me questions about my resume, I'm well prepared to answer any question on the tools that I've listed on my resume? Because I've never prepared, and I'm not a big fan. I see this on LinkedIn a lot, and I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not a big fan of or DevOps question, like 200 DevOps question you should consider. So maybe I'm wrong.
No, you're right.
I've just always leaned more towards on this is what's on my resume. You've seen my resume. You think I have the skills you're looking for. That's why you've invited me to the interview. And at that point, I should be able to speak about anything I've listed on my resume. So I kind of want to get your take on it.
Yeah, you're right about it. It's just that I feel the same way too. Like when people go out there and say, hey, there's like 100 interview questions that you should get yourself set up for. I don't work on that part as well. I don't like doing that because I feel like you're just getting yourself into a point of anxiety. But when it comes to like troubleshooting issues, like, hey, something is working, but something went wrong. It's something for me, I feel like at the end of the day, 95% of the time, you will get asked for sure. So that's why I kind of like went in and get that ready. But all the other questions, no, I'm not a big fan too.
Okay. All right. Okay, cool. Ahmed, go ahead then. It will be Wahab and Shamika after.
Yeah, thank you. So based on my recent interview, I was going with a pattern, right? Scripting potential questions that could be asked. And eventually I started the introduction, which is pretty much straightforward. Like, tell me about yourself, your experience, which is already scripted. Nothing works, right? The rest were just gibberish. Nobody asked me what I scripted. What I fall back on was the experience, right? The hands-on that we did.
Exactly.
Because the simple thing they will ask you, okay, tell me, some of them, the good interviewers will go through your resume and we ask you questions about what you put in the resume. Oh, you said you did this, that you did that. Tell us about it.
Exactly.
So that is when my hands-on will now help. But the reason why I script these things is because of the articulation. Because the truth is, we don't do this every day. We do it sometimes. Let's say the CI/CD with Jenkins, with GitHub Actions. I may do it probably a month ago. I may not recollect the process, right? So what I do is to have a OneNote, write every single thing like in a conversational manner, right? So
Right.
I digest it so that it's like every day I speak like a madman. I look at the screen and I'm talking.
Yeah,
In
man.
fact, exactly, this is what I do. So those are what I do. But in a way, it's not to anticipate it, but it's just to say what I do based on what is in my resume.
Yep.
So yeah, with what I'm seeing on the screen here, honestly, is a very good thing. But it's just potentially how do you, I had a blackout when somebody asked me my experience in Dockerfile. Like, what is the first thing to do? I honestly just blanked out, and I've done this thing before. Only thing I remember was run. Like, what is the basic command you put in the Dockerfile? I would literally just say run, and the rest I don't remember. But yeah, so things like this help. But then again, it's just for articulation and memory, remembrance or something like that. Yeah. But yeah, I'm just saying, like, I don't script these things. And if they ask question out of the box, I'll be honest, I haven't done this before.
Yeah.
And I think it's only fair for them to see what I have in my resume. It should be more than enough.
Yeah, sure.
Right. Yeah. So those are the reasons why, we should write these things.
Okay. I agree with, it's fine. If you want to script how you are going to introduce yourself, that is fine. I don't, because again, once I get in the interview, it's just like I'm in this auto mode. I can't really like look at something and be trying to read from something. I can't. So I just lean more on my experience, and that is pretty much, you guys saw the interview that I've posted. That is how I've done all my interviews. So yeah, that's pretty much how I've been. But if you feel like at least for your introduction, you want to hit some point on things you want to say and you just want to jot those down, that's fine. That is absolutely fine. Wahab, go ahead.
So I'll say one thing for me that has even helped me in my own industry and when I interview for roles is the job description. I think it tells a lot. Not a 1 or 2 line job description, but a detailed job description. So from there you can even understand what tools they use. And sometimes some tools might not be on there, but then that based on your experience, if they're deploying on, for example, Kubernetes now, you're 100% writing Docker files. You're 100% working with Docker. Even if Docker is not listed on the job description, then you absolutely need to know that. Simply, yeah. So that's another thing. So I try and map it out, just I start by studying the job description, try and map out all the possible scenarios or the possible type of questions that they will ask, and practice on that. And also while I'm practicing on that, I'm actually mapping out, okay, you know what? Yes, I'm practicing on this, but where is that on my resume and how can I link it back? So not only have I prepared for the kind of question that's in the job description, I've also mapped it out to my experience as well. And that always helps simply because not only am I I don't have to pretty much prepare for a new scenario. I already have that scenario in my job in my resume. I just have to link both together. So one thing I do is I just study the job description, try and even find out questions that are not on there that would they will potentially ask. And that always helps.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. So I say, well, in that case, it would be necessary to, that's a definitely good way to anticipate what you think they'll ask you, because that's a good point, which I have never thought about that if a company is using Kubernetes, for example, for sure, that's also going to entails knowing Docker. Or
Yeah.
if a company is using Terraform, right, that's also going to entails them probably asking about
CI/CD,
storing your state files,
state files.
CI/CD,
Yeah.
and things
Working
like
with
that. So
S3, things like that.
yeah,
So
I agree.
yeah,
I
I
agree.
once I see words like that, I try and map it. Okay, what are the possible scenarios
Mhm,
that can come out from that question that are not listed on this job description, and
mhm.
actually anticipate that. So
I agree. I agree. I agree. Thank you. Shamika, go ahead.
Um, I don't know about scripting anything, but I do see sometime like some questions that may be like for instance like Amazon, um one of my he's actually in this group too, but he hasn't been here lately. But
Mhm,
he had interviewed for a position with Amazon, a SOC position, and the recruiter gave him questions to ask. And if you go on the site, then also ask about questions, and they tell you to read up on the leadership principles. So they
mhm,
want you to try to prepare for stuff like that.
mhm,
So with that being said, even when I was at working my last position with Microsoft, they gave us things, the recruiters, to look at and to study up on. So being that those experiences and what I do now, even right now while I'm still in the midst of job searching, I will go to like Glassdoor and look
mhm,
at reviews and sometimes look at what questions they may ask so that I can be able to tell it. Because again, like I think Mom was saying, sometimes you won't remember every step because it might be something that you don't work on every day. So I
mhm.
do the same thing even when I was at my last job. I have a lot of notes from my OneNote that of cases that I've made supported and tickets that I've closed, so I can go back and reference to it. And sometimes it's just easy just to go and look at it when I'm on an interview, so I can explain maybe what script, because I'm not running that same script every day. I'm not gonna remember
That's
what
true.
it is all the time. So
Mhm.
that's I think that's my thing of what I mean preparing as far as asking questions. Of course, you're not gonna know every question they're gonna ask, but I try to repair prepare like that,
Mhm,
and also explain my troubleshooting steps of what I'm doing. So
mhm.
I would sometimes have it out because like I said, it's just if I'm not dealing with something that's the same thing repetitive every day, I'm not gonna remember. It is times that I've asked questions like how have you had a challenge and how did you handle it? And I just want to script out because I've had plenty of them. So I
Mhm.
might want to use one of my use cases from my
That's true.
job, a previous job, and I have to go back and look at it real quick because I'm not, I can't remember, verbatim of like that what happened and what was said, but I will go back and reference to it so I can explain my steps and how I troubleshoot the issue, stuff like
That
that.
is
So
that is true. You guys, thank you for the perspective, and I never thought about it that way. One question that I think you guys should script, or not script, but have it written down. That is something I don't even do, and every time they ask me, I'm always getting stuck. Then I find myself trying to wing up something during the interview. Do you have any questions for me? You should always have questions for them,
yeah, I
because
always keep questions on that. I do the
exactly,
same thing. I keep questions about them.
from their side, it shows that you are interested if you have questions, right? And that 100%, I definitely agree that you should have some questions written down for your interviewers, and questions that are very insightful, that shows your interest in the position. So that I can definitely do better with my interview and writing some questions down, but I haven't been writing any questions down. But most times when they ask me, do you have any questions for me? I have like some sets of questions that I typically ask, but I definitely need to do a better job on that. So, uh, so I
and
guess,
I spoke to I've spoken to a hiring manager before on the perfect way to, what's the perfect question to ask? And basically, one is always, do you have anyone working in that position, and what does success mean in this role?
I see.
If they're honest with you, they'll tell you what success. So, for example, it's okay, success in this role would mean, you have good troubleshooting skills, you're familiar with AWS, blah, 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 blah. And if you feel like throughout the interview, you've not articulated, for example, any of those things that they mentioned that would be a success, that's one last chance for you to respond and say, okay, you know what? I understand in my past experience, I've done blah, 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 blah.
I see.
That's another opportunity to articulate, okay, you know what? One, make someone successful in this role, and you at least get one last chance to provide a response to that. So
yeah, and my expectations, I'll ask them what are their expectations of me for this role, and also like I like to ask now is there anything that you need me to clarify in this interview that I haven't that you might need me to elaborate on more.
Oh, that is good. Yeah. So that I can say in preparing for an interview, having some questions down and mapping out how you're going to answer them in terms of questions you ask for them can be very beneficial, because I get stuck on those questions. And I just even had an interview this week, and that was one of the last thing. The guy, part of the interview was he was questioning me about things back and forth. He was asking me questions. Then he now said, at this part of this interview, I'll ask you a question. You ask me a question, I'll answer it, then I'll flip it back and ask you a question. And so that's how we were doing it. So you can imagine for like almost 30 minutes remaining in the interview, I had to be asking him questions consistently that I didn't have any questions down. So I was just winging it the entire time. But I mean, based on our conversation, I had some questions that I wanted to ask him, but it would have been better if I had some questions that are relating to the position. So I agree. Daniel, go ahead. Then Jared, I'll be with you as soon as we finish this. We'll look at your stuff.
I will 100% buttress what Hamed said, his points that he raised up, because if you're not careful, man, sometimes you just get frozen up and you're like, this is something I've done. Like one of the questions this guy asked me when I was doing this interview, he was saying, okay, we've got databases in your private subnet, and yeah, you don't want outside users to access it. I said, yeah, you can do that. Once you route that through a NAT gateway, that's the way that EC2 instance in that private subnet can access the internet and all that stuff. And he was so tricky. He was like, what I want to hear is like, he was asking the question in such a way that you not even understand what he's trying to, it's something that you know. What he was trying to get at was using security groups. And when he asked the question, when I was, struggling to get the answer, he said, hey, I know these are very tricky questions that I've put together just so I could trick someone, even though it's as simple, it's something you know how to go about. So it's always, it's just the best practice to have a couple of things just so, because they will find ways just to get at you. And like I was saying, with this one that I did, not everything was on there. They just put like basic stuff, and then they even went in as far as they were migrating databases as well from on-prem to the cloud. It was not even in there. So sometimes they will bring a lot of stuff, and unfortunately, if you don't have like the basic stuff to get you going, like start going, get to a point, once you freeze, they feel like, hey, he doesn't know what he's doing or doesn't know what he's talking about. This other description that you see now, they reached out to me about this role. It's a security role. This is what I can see on the job description.
Okay.
These people are based in Houston, Texas. They're like, hey, man, we saw your resume and all that stuff. Can we talk? But I looked at the description. It's mainly security and all that stuff. Even though I talked to them, we kind of like scheduled something. I was like, you know what? I need to bring it up to the group to see if it even makes sense, because this is all security when you take a look at it.
I mean, yes.
Can you scroll down? Can you scroll down to I think there's probably some more information.
Yeah, there's more. I'm going to scroll down for sure.
Yeah, sorry.
They're more concerned about this bit of it, debugging skills using markup language like XML.
XML.
Yeah.
Scroll down. JSON.
And these
are it sounds like it looks like including Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. When it comes to like most security role, they would have tools that they use to do their security work. So based on whatever tools they have, you just have to learn. A lot of those tools you might not even have access to it now, where it is something
Right.
you will learn on the job. But the best you can probably do is just be able to speak on up to it. You can see here they have ArcSight, Palo Alto. That I've seen that Palo Alto a lot. A lot of people
I've
use.
heard about Palo Alto, but I've never seen it before.
Yeah. So
for me,
and
the most concerning part is this part, the debugging skills using
XML.
the XML. I have no idea about it.
So that tells me there's some integration going on. So XML JSON. So it's probably debugging issues between two different systems. So one will be, looking at the logs, ensure that if the log level is not appropriate, ensure that the developers put it in verbose and you're able to see, storing logs, extracting logs, things like that. There's going to be a lot of that for this role.
Yeah. So things like this, you look at it and you're like, okay, you map around and see, well, it's not something you're familiar with or something you've done. I've been pushing them. I pushed this this conversation with them for like to the 25th of this month, just so I could, get a sense of what's going on out there and what's actually, is it something that I need to go,
one thing I recommend you probably look into, look at the AWS security white paper. So it basically outlines security in AWS as a whole. Practices, governance, just basically everything in that the first two lines would be in that document with regards to the AWS. And that would give you at least a sense of some of the things that you have to do in this role. So just Google AWS security white paper.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Because even the solutions architect right now, like, it's now 30%. The security is 30% of your domain. That's 30% of your exam. So that's what I'm studying now. But I mean, I have experience in security. I just want to focus on those bigger domains because that's like I said, the biggest chunk of you passing the solutions architect exam. Yeah.
And then
so click on white paper. No, like the checkbox for the digital white paper. Yeah.
Right there.
Scroll down. Scroll down. There should be one on security.
There's going to be security, identity, and compliance. Go up.
Go up. It's right there. Stop. Right
there. Security, identity, yeah, and compliance.
So scroll. So maybe that introduction to AWS security, that's probably one. Yeah, you can start from this one. So security guidance, complying security products. This is probably one thing that would be very helpful for prep. And there's probably another one. They have a lot of them.
And then I also found some because I have an account with WizLabs. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. There's like the security stuff is on there, but like even with the basic AWS course, it has like all the other types of like security where you talk about WAF, God duty, and all that stuff. I don't know if it's something that I should thoroughly look into as well.
Yeah, I will also try Hack Me as well because they have a lot of good cloud labs that you can do for security. They're really good. Try Hack Me.
Let me show you the
and it's free too. So
yeah, WizLabs have something very good on the basics of security, and then obviously because I have like a year subscription with them. When I have
you also want to like brush up on your frameworks on security, the different frameworks and like government compliance, because with security you have to at least know that as well. And like also check out the documentation on artifacts for AWS artifacts, because that talks about compliance with AWS.
Take a look at in here, you would see there's like, if you take a look at security, identity, and there's a lot more, this is what I was talking about. There's like, you could see a lot more here. AWS Cognito, which is pretty much like an authentication process when users try to get in using like their Gmail account or Facebook.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Sorry,
God.
how much do you pay per month on this Wish Lab?
For this one, I spoke directly to the because I was with them a couple of years ago and then I went off. So I spoke directly to them. It's supposed to be $250 a yearly, but I ended up paying like $155, which is a very good deal for 12 months.
That's not bad.
So I have access to pretty much like everything, I would say, even with the AWS security, the specialty track, videos, and also I've got like labs. I could go into their like I know Aziz is not a big fan. Into their sandbox and play around with all of this. Just get that extra practice in there. I could do that as well.
I mean, it's good if you're setting it when I don't know if you're practicing, but I just feel like it's better if you can. I mean, it's good to understand how to configure a particular service if that's what they are showing you. But I just prefer hands-on projects because then you'll run into issues setting it up yourself, and you learn a lot from just setting things up yourself as opposed to deploying it in a sandbox environment that all the dependencies are already there, and all you have to do is just follow their steps.
Yeah, the good part of it is because I mean, like we have yours now where we can set it up ourselves, and then this one will be like
and I agree. Yeah, you can use this too. I agree.
See, they will show you exactly what needs to be done. You see exactly what you're configuring, and then if we get into one of these, because I was looking at let's say for the NAC, if we take a look at the NAC one, you see these are they will tell you the steps, what exactly you're going to be doing. And then you'll also have like the architecture as well. So it tells you exactly what's going to happen, what you're doing. It's really cool. It's just an addition to, all these steps is something that we've been doing with you as it. So it's the same thing. It's just that you do it in their environment, get into their sandbox lab, you start the lab, and then you get in. Let me open up the lab. Let's just so you guys see what it's like. It will open up. Sometimes it takes a while to open up. Open up the console. Okay, this is using mine. I don't know when you're using mine. So you go in and then you start working on. Yeah. And they'll tell you all the steps, what you need to do, and all that good stuff. And then after which you'll have to validate the lab that what you did was right, and then they'll kind of like check you correct, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
is there a way you can put that project you're doing in your GitHub or you're done and the screen watch and all that, the screenshot?
What I normally do is, let me show you what I normally do is once I get into, let's say I get into wanting to create let's say VPC flow logs, okay? What I'll do as well is, you see all of this, I will copy all of this if I want to. I'll copy everything and just dump that into Word. So I have even if my subscription ends, I'll still have it somewhere. Let's say if I copy this now, I get into Word and a new file, and I can just paste it. See, I have all the steps. So yeah, so I can always like
put that on your README.
Yes, practice on my own in my own AWS and all that stuff. Under my own account. I can always copy that and move that from their environment into mine. This is even showing you how to go about the whole process. That's what they're showing you here. It's a cool environment to do a lot of stuff, and
you probably do better if you snip it for some of that stuff.
Exactly.
It's a snipping too.
Yeah, the Word document was really clear as well the last time I did it.
All right. I do have 30 minutes before I leave, and I want to help Gerard with it with his issue. So um uh yeah, let me just shift to helping Gerard. Then if we have any time, then we can talk about other stuff, any other
Okay,
things
cool.
we have to talk about. Gerard, you can share your screen.
Okay, Aziz, thank you very much. And whilst I'm sharing my screen, I'll just use this opportunity to really thank you for creating this platform. This is actually the first time I'm attending the Saturday sessions because I struggle to get the timings right. Either I come very early or I was late. So it's been a I'm just new, so I'm still trying to learn a lot, and uh, it's been amazing because everybody has been so helpful, especially Wahab. I tend to disturb him a lot, so
Yeah.
I just want to thank everybody here. And Aziz, may God bless you for creating this platform.
Amen. Yeah, amen. Yeah, you're welcome. So I mean, that's why we're here to learn. So I mean, as long as you guys just keep doing your part, it's only a matter of time before you learn all the skills you need to learn. So
Okay, so I came into this issue 3 days ago. I was trying to, well, I had completed the task in, I don't know if I need to make this one bigger. I deployed the pipeline and it failed with this error message, which I could not resolve. So
can you click on run download flyway? So can you click on the in the terminal over there? Yeah, click on that plus that play arrow. Yeah. Are you sure your command is right in your configuration file? Can you go to your yeah so just make that screen a little bit bigger and go to the job where you are downloading Flyway.
That's where the this one.
Right. So I have to see your job because that command may be wrong. Let me just a second. Okay. So, because I think it is failing on. Okay, go back to that your terminal again, your GitHub Actions thing. Let me see where, and so download Flyway. So it is failing on download Flyway. So I think there might be a typo in your command. So let me see your command again. Flyway. So go to the Flyway documentation. Let's see something.
You mean on your in the
Yeah,
video I was watching?
yeah, this one, yeah. So copy that without the dollar sign, the W, just the W get. Right. Right, go back to your Visual Studio Code and paste it on the one you have now.
Slash.
Don't put slash there.
I'm just trying to. How do you comment it again?
No, don't comment it out. I'm just comparing it.
Okay.
Right, you can see that it is different. So this one, the first one you have, is that the one that I had in there before? Because
Yes.
sometimes that's why I'm saying in there, if you look in their documentation, their download command always change. So you have to go in their documentation and see whatever that download command is, right? So can you go back in that documentation again?
Sure.
All right. Linux. Yeah, so this is what their new command is. So I guess that's the one we're going to use. So scroll up, let me see if there's any other download Windows, download. Yeah, so that's what the new command is. So that's the one you should use in your code. So we've copied it, then go back to your right. So you just need to, wherever you have the versions, that's where you paste your Flyway version in that second command.
So I should download this 10.15.0.
Yeah, whatever their latest version is, that's the one you should be downloading when you are watching the video.
Okay.
Right. So you can change it now and run it and see. So
I delete your one there.
no, don't delete it yet. Just copy your. You have to put your environment variables in your command.
I'll just cut it and put it on a notepad.
Yeah,
Is that
but Brian, can you scroll down? Let me see something. That's what I'm saying. In your command, you have to put your environment variables where the numbers are. So that way everything is picking it up the way it's supposed to pick it up.
so I just have to look for it. And I did it somewhere.
No, it was in the one you cut out. So can you press Control Z back?
Okay, Control Z.
You have to click in your and press Control Z. Right. So you see where you have the $ bracket Flyway version
Um,
on line 318.
yeah, yeah. Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Copy the $ version, copy everything from the $ to the bracket.
Like that?
Copy. So I'm saying everywhere in the command you are trying to run, where you see the 10.5, 10.15.0, paste it there. On line 319.
Well, at what point should I paste it? At the end of the command or?
So that command on line 318, that command is downloading the Flyway version, but you can add environment variable to specify your own, to be able to add the value of which Flyway version you want to download. So that $sign and the bracket you just copy, that's an environment variable.
Okay.
So I'm saying that's an environment variable that when the command is running, it is going to get the value of whatever that environment variable is and put it in there.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
so you want to do the same thing for that line 319 you're about to run the command.
Okay. So I was asking that, should I paste it down command line? Should I paste it, say, here?
You paste it anywhere where you see the versions of Flyway. So anywhere on that line, on line 319, wherever you see the version of Flyway, 10.15.0, paste it there.
Command line.
So on line 319, replace the 10.15.0 with that. And you have to do you have to do it everywhere where you see the version.
Okay.
And that's
Another easy way you can do it, if you just do control find and then write in that version, it'll give you every part in your document that has that version, and then you could just
I do
paste it
control
in there.
find.
Right, control find if you put that version that you replacing inside there.
I paste this there.
Not that the 15, the 10.15, put the version inside there, and it'll find every part in your document that has that version, and then you can just replace it.
10.15.0.
Yeah.
Let me check. Let me double check. I can't remember. It's 10.0, 10.15.0.
That's 0, right? It'll go and find it.
So
no, so that's not, yeah. So but you already removed it, so it's not gonna show up on your document anymore.
Yeah, it's just a new way for you to know next time.
Okay.
So
thank you. 10.15.0. I think that's it. So should I save it now, boss?
You have to go down to where what we're working on, and you have to remove the other one.
Okay. So I can delete like 318 now. Sorry, I'm doing it this way. My cursor down, place backspace. Space. Oh. Sorry, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, I just wanted to put it to line 118. That's the easiest way to.
You have to put your cursor next to the W and press backspace. You just press backspace up. Yeah, just keep pressing backspace. It will bring it to that line. Then you indent it.
Okay. I don't feel so good. Is that where it's supposed to be?
No, your indent was fine. So you have to indent, press the backspace back. So press it all the way, press it to the run line, to line 117, then press enter again. And press enter.
Shall I take that?
No, it needs to be next to the W in the beginning.
Next to at the beginning. Okay.
Then you indented one. That's where it needs to be. No, indent.
Okay, I copied and pressed. Is it the tab button?
The tab, yes.
Yeah.
So can I do it like this now? Okay.
You need to tab it. You need on line 318, just put your cursor right before the W and tab it again.
I just press tab.
Yes. There you go.
Okay, thank you.
Right. You can save your file and run and see what happens when you.
I'll just say update. Okay. Sorry, as a quick question, while this is running, I thought when it runs these jobs, it will build a VPC with everything, or because it has failed, it will not build because of the last step that has failed.
It will build the VPC on the second job. This build AWS infrastructure. It would build your VPC on that job. So
Because
after that job has run, your VPC should be in your account.
Because when I did it earlier, just before asking the question, it wasn't there. When I look into my AWS account, I have not seen any new VPC there. So my understanding is that it should be.
And in what account is your pipeline configured to create the resource?
Oh,
The credentials your pipeline is using, in what account is it creating it?
it's here. It should be here. So I think that's it. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Sure. So I had the wrong region. Sorry. Yeah, I just sorted that. So it's on the last one now. Right.
So the issue is even with the previous command, you have to review how you are entering your environment variables. Just check, do you have a typo somewhere in your code? Because in the output, your flyway version is not being populated into your command. The environment variable is not being populated into your command. That's why it is failing.
I really don't know how to do that. Sorry.
Yeah, I understand. So that's what I'm saying. So when you are at this level of the project, because the CI/CD project is a combination of all the projects we've done, right? It is an advanced project, and it is a project that at this level, when I troubleshoot with you, in order to help you understand what you are doing, I'm going to just only give you high level knowledge, high level instructions on where to look. And if if some of those things you don't understand, it just means that you have to go to like the previous projects and work on those projects until you pick up some of those things some of those knowledge on things, because with just recognizing the environment variables and stuff like that at this level of the project, that is something that you should be, it should come very easy for you to understand. You understand? So I'm trying to, I don't want to be, I don't want to be blunt, but at the same time, when you guys are working on the projects, that is the main thing I'm trying to show you guys, that those projects are meant to build your knowledge as you go. So you see, let me just explain what's going on. You see on line 318, when that command runs, it was similar to the same thing we did when we built our Docker file. When that command run, right, whatever you put there, this command, this W, so copy that command on line 318 and just open a new file and paste it in there. I'll show you what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah, open a new file and paste it in there. So if you double click up there, so right next to your deploy pipeline.yaml file, double click in that open space, paste it there. All right, now go in your GitHub Actions. Copy that wget, right? That on line 2, copy everything, wget everything.
Paste it here.
Yeah, paste it right under it. So you see what's going on? And the command that is on line 1 is the same as the one on line 3. In our script, we put command on line 1 because we want to, where we have the $ bracket env flyway version, there we want to dynamically pass any flyway version we want to download there. So instead of hard coding flyway version 10.15.0, we made an environment variable that will allow us to dynamically pass any flyway version in there, right?
Yeah.
You understand that part?
Yes.
So when the command is running in your GitHub Actions, it will go and look in your script where you have the flyway version. Whatever flyway version you put there, it is going to add it here. And that is what is going to make up your full command that is going to get executed. Do you understand that part, right?
Yeah.
So now look at the output on line 3. This is the output of the command that was generated when your GitHub Actions ran. Do you see something different in that command?
Yes, it's different because it hasn't put the environment variables.
Exactly. So somehow your environment variables where you specify the actual version of flyway you want to download is not being populated into that command that is being executed in your GitHub Actions. So that is not making up the URL. It wouldn't make up the proper URL to download it from. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does. But
So-
when this somebody said if I press this, it should show me where all this version, where there's only one place anyway.
So that's not the issue. So if you go up there, right, to the when you do the control find, right, you can see you have 10.15.0 appearing in one place on your file.
Yes.
Right. So it's showing you the 1 of 1. So that 1 of 1. So if you press the arrow, so at this point, that's another thing. At this point in the project, some of the things, and this is for everyone, right? When you guys, some of the things you guys have to, and those that are listening to, some of the things you have to understand, even when you are working with cloud stuff, is just how you have to get comfortable with using your computers and navigating, just whether it's your computer, whether it's Visual Studio Code. So someone was asking me yesterday too how to use the control find, but those are the things you guys should be getting a habit of using anytime you are working on your project, instead of like try to find the most efficient way you can find something or do something. So this control find is one of the things you have to get comfortable with. So when you put that 10.15.0 there, that is showing you that 10.15.0 is appearing one place in your file. The arrows that is pointing up and down next to it, that arrow is, if you click on any of that arrow, it will take you to the exact spot where whatever a find is located.
Okay.
So that's how. So now you can see here, you can I can already see what your error is. Does anyone else see what the error is?
There's a space between flyway and version.
Correct. So before you fix it, look at line 16.
Yeah.
You have an environment variable that you call flyway version, right? So
Yeah.
you have a typo in there, which is a space. You can see it, right? But now go back to the command we were running to create your flyway, to download flyway.
Well, here.
Yeah, you can use that one as well, right? So what you are telling that command on line 1 is that when you are saying that when you are, what you are telling that command is that you are saying that when you are running this command in my terminal, go to line, was it line 16 on your file?
Yes.
Go to line 16, get the value of flyway version. So you can see flyway version, you put here, you put flyway underscore version. There isn't a dash there.
Yeah.
Understand? But then,
That's
then on line 16, you have flyway dash, flyway space dash version. So those two does not match. That is where your error is coming from.
Oh, thank you very much.
So, but beyond like pointing it out to you, when you guys are troubleshooting this, especially when you are, the GitHub Actions is pretty much the last project. And if you notice, this project is a combination of all the projects we've done. Pretty much everything we've done, we're bringing everything in and automating the entire process. So what I expect is that at the GitHub Actions level, like some of this stuff, you guys should understand how to troubleshoot them. I mean, I can certainly help, but I'm just, if I want to be a good mentor where I'm also holding you responsible for some of the things you need to know, right? These are some of the things that I expect you guys to know. And I'm sorry if I'm being blunt, but I'm just trying to give you a good direction on, because when you go to the interview, these are the things you're going to explain. You know, you need to be very comfortable in explain anything you've worked on. So
I just
Thank
want
you
to ask
very much.
something real quick. This is easy.
yeah,
Because
sure.
I've had people reach out to me too on Slack. I'm gonna say again, really, what he recommend inside the videos as far as doing the foundation, as far as the AWS Cloud Practitioner and the solutions, it will really help you understand and build on your knowledge and know how to troubleshoot these projects. And then also you'll figure out what the problem is by building on each project and taking your time and doing them. And you will realize that a lot of times that your error will be either a syntax error or something where the version has changed, where either they might be using different syntax.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what my my opinion is on what I've been learning the last almost 2 years now in
Yes.
cloud. So
I agree. Thank you. Thank you. I agree. Daniel, go ahead. And this is actually a good topic, a good thing to segue into what I wanted to discuss again today. Because I had like 3, 4 questions, and you guys saw some of those questions in our Slack group too. Through this week, and some people messaged me personally too, and I want to address that. But Daniel, go ahead.
Yes. Now I was going to buttress what Shamika just talked about. Aziz and I, we've known each other when he started doing this. I think it was like 2 years ago. At the time, he didn't have like a lot of like these projects on there. When I started at the time, I was trying to rush into stuff. I would do stuff, and then yeah, it's working, but without the understanding. When I came back this time around, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, it took me a month. I spent like 4 to 5 weeks just watching the videos, just so I understand what I'm doing. So when I did that, when I started doing the projects, when I make mistakes, I will know that I made mistakes, and I know exactly why I made them because I've
you
been
catch your
watching.
errors.
Yes, I've been watching the videos, not to just be able to build something. You can build something by watching videos and just build something. But did you understand what you were doing? That's the key concept. That's the key. So it took me about 5 weeks. I'm gonna be honest. Aziz, when we started talking, he thought maybe I was just not trying to do anything and stuff, but I was just looking at the videos. I spent like 5 weeks just watching what was going on. I have a full understanding of like each step of the way. So when I make mistakes or make errors, I know where to find them. So it's a good thing what Shamika was talking about,
and also snip it. Snip your errors, snip things, because you can go back and reference it.
Exactly. And when you watch these videos for so long, they become part of you, and you're like, yeah, you know
kind of
exactly
OGs now. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you will know. Trust me. So it's best for us to, for us all to follow the instructions, what he's doing and telling us to do, and it would help a lot if you get an understanding before you start putting pen to paper on these projects. To be very honest.
Yeah, and learning Linux, learning the stuff that he puts in the video is very, because as somebody that's not in the class today that skipped over, and I said that's your first mistake, is that you're skipping over videos, and you really need to look at from the first start video. He's telling you things that you need to learn, because it's going to help you with these projects. If you don't know Linux, if you don't know these things, you don't know a little bit about PowerShell, these things, you're going to struggle with this.
Dude, I'm not working right now. I don't have a job right now. So when I say I spend 4 to 5 weeks watching these videos, you're looking at probably
full-time job,
like 6, 7, 8 hours a day. That's what I've been doing. I'm not gonna lie.
And it helps me, to be honest, it helps me now that I'm doing full stack, and it helps me a lot. A lot of AZ's material has helped me with now learning the front end of building applications and learning how to find errors and stuff. So
So thank you. So for you guys that are going through the projects, and I can see you guys' knowledge, where you guys are now, where we can have conversations. You guys understand what you are doing, and it's almost, I see us as more of like a colleague, where we can share ideas. You guys teach me stuff too, right? That is my whole intentions about the project. So what I care about the project is that if, let's say I have the first project, which is the static website. If it takes you 10 weeks to understand everything you did in that static website, that is what is going to take you. I've always said this, and I'm saying it again. You haven't completed a project just because you went through that project with me, followed what I was doing, and at the end you see your application come up. You have to be able to deploy that project on your own, understand, and I mean every single aspect, because there's nothing in there that we are doing that is very difficult to understand. So understanding every single thing we did in that project, you have to understand that. So that is something I can't help you do. You guys have to understand that, because the reason why I'm always stressing that out is because when you go to the interview, when they are asking you, tell me about some of the things you worked on, that is what you are going to explain. I can post some of other interviews that I've done. Anytime they ask me a question, I always relate it back to the projects, and I explain the project. So for me, I'm always saying, what I'm saying is, if you follow along with me and your application show at the end, you are not done with that project at that point. You have to be able to do that project on your own. And if I sit with you now and I ask you any question about that project, you should be able to answer every single aspect of that project. That is one. Two is, for example, and this is not directed at anyone, but this is just, it was part of what is on my list to talk about today. If we work on, let's say we work on Terraform project, and in the Terraform project, one of the things we have to even do before we can even use Terraform is configure our CLI, which is our access key and secret access key. So let's say you work on that Terraform project and you finished it. You worked on the Terraform module, you finished it. When you are working on, let's say, GitHub Actions, for example, and you have issues with your access key and secret access key, I expect you to understand at that level of that project how to solve the issues of your credentials, because that is something we did in the Terraform project. So and I'm always definitely always trying to be professional, but where I'm also trying to be give you guys a good understanding and be honest with you guys is, I don't want you guys to be asking me questions you should have understand in the prior project. So to make it clear, it's like being in the 6th grade, right? So let's say you're supposed to learn 1 + 1 in the 1st grade, right? And now you are in the 12th grade, and you're asking me, what is 1 + 1 in the 12th grade? No, then what I would say is go back to the 1st grade, right? Go and learn that, then come back to the 12th grade so you can build your knowledge. And that is how I've arranged the project. The project are meant to build your knowledge as you go. So if you guys notice, we are hosting the same application, but we are just bringing all the tools we've learned in. And the main one thing that I see is that everyone wants a job. I get it. I told you guys I lost my job too, right? I lost my job. My wife is pregnant, so I needed health insurance for her, right? I just bought a house, so I have to pay my mortgage. I get it. You know, when you guys need a job, you want to do what you got to do to get a job. But you guys, I'm not saying, trust me, I'm good, because I've monetized my cloud skills a long time ago where I'm not depending on a job. Like, I have other ways that I'm making money. So the job is just really an extra for me. So, but what I'm saying is, I get the fact that when you need a job, you feel the pressure to want to get a job immediately, right? But, and this brings me to the point where, and 3 questions that I've gotten this week is, oh, if I go through this course, if I do this, are you guaranteeing, is it a guarantee that I'm going to get a job, right? One thing I want you guys to understand, there is no guarantee in life. Like, nobody is going to guarantee you whether you're going to get a job or not. What you need is an opportunity. You don't need guarantee, right? You need an opportunity where your opportunity is when you get in that interview room. That is an opportunity. Whatever you say in that interview room, that is what is going to lead to whether you get a job or not, right? So there's no guarantee where someone can guarantee you, oh yeah, you'll get a job. If you're asking me, are there tons of cloud engineering job in this field? Yes, there are jobs, but it's no guarantee anyone is going to give you that job if you don't have the skills that the company is looking for, right? The first thing I've always said is, whether I think I need money now because my wife needs health insurance or whatever, this and that, right? Nobody cares. If all a company is going to care if when I get to that interview, right? Which, since I lost my job, I've gotten 2 offers already, right? Which, when you get in that interview, what they will care about is, what are you telling them in that moment? And what you are telling them is going to be based on the skills you have. So, which is why I'm always saying, when you guys are learning, the right question to ask me is, are you going to teach me all the skills that I need, or the skills that I need that will allow me to seize the opportunity to get a job? The question you should be asking is, what skills am I going to learn? Not if I'm going to get a job. The if part of whether you're going to get a job or not, that is 100% on you. Whatever you put in is what you're going to get. And I'm always saying, don't prioritize getting the job over the skills. As long as you have the skills, it doesn't matter if companies are laying off, you'll get another job like almost immediately. Because you know what? The skills is yours. It stays with you, right? And you take that same confidence, that skills to any interview, and that is how you seize the moment. So again, and all this stuff I'm saying because I've been working with people for 2 years now. What I'm saying most times is everyone is always rushing. And when you rush through the projects, you really won't understand what you are doing. Everyone is rushing through the projects because don't give yourself a time frame of, oh yeah, I need to get a job by 2 months from now. The best time to learn cloud computing is not when you are looking for a job, when you are desperate for a job, because then you just be rushing through it and trying to get a job in 2 months. When I learned cloud computing, I stayed at my old job, regardless of whether I liked it or not. I stayed there and I took all the time I need to learn all the things I need before I started applying for work. That took me over a year, maybe a year and a half from the moment where I was consistently studying every day. Took me about a year and a half to get to that point where I was comfortable applying and I did a couple of interviews and I got the offer, right? So what I'm saying is don't rush through the projects. I understand that everyone needs to get a job because for example, if you're not working, you just need to get paid, right? So I'll say focus on other ways where you can make money if you can. So that way you don't rush your crowd projects in like 1 month, trying to rush it 1 or 2 months, especially when you're a beginner in trying to get a job, because that is not going to work in this life. I'm just saying, whether it's me or you or anyone, no one really cares whether you need a job because you need the money to pay your bills. They only care that you have the skills they are looking for. So I'm always saying making money is the byproduct of having the skills. It's not the other way around. So that was one of the main things I wanted to talk about today, because I've had like 4 questions this week about, can you guarantee that I'm going to get a job if I start learning? You don't need someone to give you a guarantee before you start learning. What you need to do is focus on building your skills. That is the only thing. I've told you guys, I went from making 45,000 a year to making over 45,000 a month. On the least month, I'll probably make 45,000, right? I'm telling you guys, and the Lord is my weakness. I'm telling you guys, the only difference between me then and me now is because I learned a skill. That is all I did. I learned a skill that I know can help me make money. And it's not easy when you look at it in the beginning, trying to learn a skill, but just like anything, if you dedicate enough time to it, it'll make sense to you. You'll start to understand. That is all I did. I learned a skill and now I'm monetizing the skill. You guys don't have to learn cloud. Those that are listening, if you want to learn anything, I don't care whether it's marketing or in any industry where you feel like people get paid a tremendous amount. The first thing you're going to have to do to get to that level where people are making all that money is building the skills. The skills is always the thing. So that's why if you go to a good mentor where they are teaching you something, what they will tell you is invest in yourself, learn new things. When you learn new things and you invest in yourself, that is going to definitely material into monetary things like money in the future. So for me, I keep saying my project is more based on teaching you guys the skills. So I can't guarantee you a job, but I'm guaranteeing that I'm going to teach you the skills that will give you a higher chance during your interview, because when you walk in there and they start asking about the different technologies, you would know how to answer those questions. You will appear confident to them. So that's what I want to say. Focus on building the skills. And Wahab said it a couple of weeks ago. It is more than copy paste, and it is more than following along when you are working on the projects. You have to understand where I got the Whatever I'm telling you, where did I get that from? Where is the supporting documentation? There is so much that goes into it more than follow along. That's what I want to say. And sorry for my rant, but again, now and again, I always feel the need that I have to remind you guys, the main thing you should be focusing on is building your skills. No one cares whether you need a job. If you have the skills, though, you'll get the job. So that's what I want to say. So, does anyone have any questions?
If anyone needs help with resources, even if it's just learning any foundation stuff or extra stuff, I know I put a few things in the chat last week. You know, even if it's a course, if it's a book, you know, you can always review, or if you need something else, you can reach out. One thing about me, I have a ton of resources. So yeah, if that's gonna help.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Al. So, yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Sorry for my rant. Adedeji, do you have a question?
I was saying that from what y'all was saying for the Linux and those kind of things like that, you definitely gonna need the Linux. And Shamika, she put me on it, and she told me I had to go get a library card. So the resources that she gave me, I went out and got a library card, and it works out great. It does. It does. It really, really helped me understanding what I was doing for that particular project. And at first, I struggled with it. I even put it on the Slack channel. People see where I went wrong at. But toward the end of the project, you said that for as the projects that you have, put on the troubleshooting problems that you had. Now, I didn't see that part, but all my troubleshooting projects that I came across, I put it on the Slack channel, and it was on the Slack channel, and I had to go back and take Shamika advice, and she told me I had to go back and look at some of the other projects and see where I went wrong at, and try to use it for that particular project. And I didn't even know I was putting all my troubleshooting problems on there. Like I couldn't. My last one I did, I had the records, the A records, and I already had a project. I already had an A record on it, and I didn't know if I was supposed to delete that record or keep it. The AWS, it don't let you create multiple A records.
Exactly.
And so I had to delete that record to get a new A record to put it on there. And some of the guys on the Slack channel, they really, really helped me out. And I appreciate it. If I didn't say, okay, all right, I appreciate you, whoever sent me that particular
Yeah,
message.
it was wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. It really, really helped. It really, really helped. That's all I wanted to say, man. That's all.
Yeah.
Were you
How
able to
you
use it? Was it actually like, were you able to create the alternative records? Because that's what I
Yeah.
do. Yeah, okay. And that's good. Okay. Yeah.
I was able, and I got different outputs of of what it should be than other ways where I can use a record and use it and put it into my resources. But I had to delete a resource for the A record to go. But they had other suggestions on how I can do it without deleting that A record. But it really, really helped out. It really, really helped out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to, but though I don't, not drawing no shade on anybody. I just try to give people experience of what I've learned from this taking this boot camp, and what I've learned from being in tech and other jobs that I've held. And one thing in Microsoft when we were working there, I had a trainer and he was kind of a butthole sometimes. Excuse my expression, but one thing that stick with me is that if you come to him and ask him about troubleshooting, he's going to ask you, what step did you take? Did you try to research it? Did you do this, do that? And the more you learn, the more time you spend in this industry, in the tech industry, you will learn, regardless of who your manager is, who is that, you learn that everybody does the same thing, regardless in the tech industry, what spectrum you on. Everybody's going to ask you the same thing. What did you, if you had an issue with something, how did you approach it? What trouble steps did you take to, to resolve it? Because this is all we doing, is we resolving issues for people. So when people come to me and I didn't know, I said, look, if you having this problem, it's because you didn't understand something you did or you didn't do, and you got to go back and you need to look at it. And main thing is going back, looking at the resources that we provide inside the through AZ, and then resources that other people inside the class provide. Like I said, I sent that last week, I think 2 weeks ago, for Gail, because you can get a lot of those courses on Udemy for free to make you understand certain things, because you can't assume that AZ is going to have everything in his course, because the videos take a long time to do anyway. So you got to use those other resources that he recommend to build on your knowledge on doing this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but the Linux course, you definitely gonna need that. You definitely gonna need that. Yeah, super need that. And I appreciate you, Shamika, on so many levels.
Thank you.
So many levels. I went and got my library card, and I was like, man, I got to see what's going on, where I'm going. And then once I did it, I was like, okay, all right, I got it. And now, granted, I don't know, I didn't know nothing about cloud or nothing like that, but you know, I got it, but I ain't got it all the way. But I have my resources and my troubleshooting problems. And I was like, hey, it can't get no worse than that. But
Yeah.
I appreciate you, Shamika. I definitely
Yeah.
do. You too, AZ.
Yeah, thank you. And I appreciate you guys too, because again, when you guys get in the program and you start going through the projects, I appreciate when you guys go that extra step to try to understand it. It is more than I'm saying it now, and I tell people before, and don't sign up unless you understand that you are ready. So if you just want to just follow along on the projects, just to say, you know what, yeah, I completed the project, I saw my website at the end, and I'm moving on to the next project, and you finish all the projects, I'm guaranteeing you, I'm not guaranteeing, but I'm saying that it might hurt your chance of getting a job, because how well did you understand what I did? And I'm telling you guys, and again, for the last time, because I do have to go now, I am telling you guys, I am somebody that really, what I'm showing you guys is exactly what I did to change my life. I promise you. And like, I just turned 40 this past April, right? I'm having my first child this summer, right? Why did it take me all these years just starting my family now? But because when I had a job where I was making 45,000 a year, I was living check to check. I could barely even take care of myself. When I was 30, I had to move back home to my mom's house, right? And at that time I was just living check to check, right? Then when I met my wife, I told her, I was like, look, I'm not gonna meet your parent. I'm trying to learn this AWS stuff. I'm not going to meet your parents until I do it, because because I really felt like I need to make a certain amount of money to see myself in a position where I feel like I'm capable as a man to be able to take care of my wife, pretty much my responsibility as a husband. So my wife, if anyone asks her, she'll tell you. I told her, I was like, I'm not meeting your parents. I actually met my parents. I met my wife's parent after I got my first job. That was when I met them. And I just know that I wouldn't be able to, I could barely take care of myself on the salary I was making. So how could I take care of her? And also at that time I was living at my mom's house, because I was living in Pennsylvania. Then when I lost my job, I moved back to Maryland. Then I had to move back to my mom's house. And what am I trying to say? I'm telling you guys that whatever you feel like you need money or anything, I've been there before too. Trust me. I understand what you guys, I've showed you guys my check. You saw it. It's like 1,200 every 2 weeks, you know? But then I just stayed in that job and I took my time to learn AWS. I took my time to learn all the skills that I needed to learn in order to give myself a good chance of getting a job. So I feel like there's no better person that can tell you guys than me. And for me, my life was almost even in jeopardy, where not like from a physical standpoint, from I feel you'll feel like people are getting married younger by 30 something. By your 30s, you should have it figured out. And in my 30s, I was still trying to figure it out until my cousin told me about AWS. Then I started learning. So for me personally, learning cloud and learning AWS really changed my life, because I can't think of any other skill, any other industry that I will be in now that's given me all the opportunities that I've had in the past couple of years than the cloud. And I'm saying that I got to this point by focusing on building my skills. I was in my first job. When I got my first offer, I was making 80 something thousand. So I didn't try to chase the money right away. I understand this is a field that is very solid. There is tons of job in any location you want to relocate to. Is almost certain you can find a cloud job in that location. If you want to work remotely, it's certain that you can get a job remotely. So at that point, if you know the job is here to stay, the job is not really going away, you don't have to try to rush through it, rush to get a job in 1 month or 2 months. Give yourself the time. And that's why I say, whether it takes you 6 months, it might take you 6 months, it might take somebody a year. Whatever time works for you, that is the time that works for you. You focus on your time and your knowledge. And whenever you are there, then apply for the job. I guarantee you, all you need, again, I'm saying it, all you need is an opportunity. When you walk in that room, your confidence and your skills is what's going to get you the job. It's not anything else. Because at that point, when you walk in there, that is an opportunity. No, based on what you say is what is going to lead, whether that's going to lead to the next interview, which eventually leads to offer. You guys understand, right? If you're not getting a call back, then maybe we'll say, oh, let's look at your resume. But if you have, don't tell me that, like someone said, and you guys, I saw you guys was having the conversation in the chat. Someone said, a bunch of people have been getting rejections. A bunch of people have been getting rejections, and I've been getting rejections. This cloud industry is just kind of like add something like that, right? But to me, I look at it as, but you made it in the room. I don't care. Once you make it in the room, that is an opportunity. What you should be focusing on is, am I doing enough? Am I seizing this opportunity right in this room to help me get the job? You made it in the room. That is the only thing anyone can guarantee you. And that is the only opportunity you should be looking for, making it into that interview room. Then once you make it there, what would help you is going to be based on all the work you guys are doing now. You prepare for the right time to get the preparation for the interview, and how you hone the moment is not 2 days before your interview where you are trying to study all these prep questions and all that stuff. The preparation for your interview and how you are going to seize the moment is in the 6 months, the 1 year, the countless of hours you are putting into building your skills right now. I'm telling you, all these things, they all work together. So it is not by accident that you end up somewhere. You have to actually put in time and effort. So I'm sorry for my rant. I'm sorry that I'm being blunt, but I'm telling you guys exactly this is what I did. And I saw how my life changed just like night and day. And I'm telling you, if you do the same thing, just focus on building your skills, you see the same results, or even better. There's people that I've taught that are doing much better. They, like the one guy that I taught, he used to be an Uber driver, but he took his time too. And I've always seen that with everyone that I've taught that took their time. And within a year, he bought 2 houses. The other time I saw him posting something, I think he was posting some fancy car. But I'm telling you, the job is there and the money is there, but the skills is the first thing you have to prioritize. So sorry for my ranting. And but if you guys certainly need help, I'm not saying by no means if you need help troubleshooting, don't reach out to me. Reach out to me. But just like how Titus was helping somebody, right? And he also was telling me the same thing, that he was helping the person and he was saying like, okay, can you do this? And the person don't understand how to do it. So it's almost like saying you are working on the Kubernetes project and maybe Wahab is troubleshooting with you and he says, okay, build your Docker image. And you are saying, okay, how do I do that? But you should, it's just going to look at you like, okay, you know what? You need to go back and do the Docker project and understand everything with Docker. So the only thing I expect when you guys ask me for troubleshooting is that you, like Shamika said, you've done your part, and two, so what you are asking me is not something I expect you to already know, because that is one of the foundational stuff you should have learned. And I'll close with this. At work, I'm telling you, they will get you fired than anything else, but they will get you fired real fast when you are asking them like simple basic questions, and your coworker, they're just going to go report you and say they're helping you do your work. And I've seen that one of my coworker that lost his job, it was just exactly the same thing that happened. The other person that he was always calling in to help him troubleshoot something, the person told the manager that I can't get my work done because I'm always helping this person. So there's a right way to ask something at work, and that way is just like what Shamika said. I've done this. I'm seeing this error. Have you guys seen this error before? And they might type back at you, okay, can you check here, check there, right? But if someone joins the Zoom call with you and they are telling you, okay, click over here, click over there, they hate that. I'm telling you guys take it from me. They will get you fired. So I'll close on that. So I do have to go. Thank you, everyone. It was a good day. So if you guys have any questions, reach out to me in Slack. And I'm really rooting for you guys, and I really wish you guys all the best. And I can't wait to see you guys' success story too. Just continue to do your work and take your time. I'm promising you that you will see the results. Thank you.
All right. Have a good week, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Bye.
have a good week, man. AZ, you the man, bro. You are the
Thank
man.
you.
I love your input. You're right. You got to take your time on it and have your notes and everything together, man. But I'm definitely gonna finish learning what I need to learn. No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Cool. Thank you so much, Dylan. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
All right.